Hello, I am Chastity, and I am starting a new series. I want to be able to teach people computer programming. As you can see, I'm using OBS Studio to record my desktop and my microphone. I don't have a PC camera that works anymore, so I'm just going to go with this showing my screen. Now, see, here's my desktop. Now, I want to show you some amazing things. I've done some incredible things with my programming. I have a lot of Tetris games on here. I even have a Tetris background. I have tons of games and all kinds of amazing things. My whole life was on the computer, as I'm sure that's the true of a lot of people these days. However, I am also a programmer, and I want to be able to show people not only that you can do cool stuff with programming, but actually how to get started with programming games. I'm going to focus on graphics development, not necessarily making a game in this series, but to get started with basic computer graphics. But first, I want to be able to show you a few examples of the kinds of things that can be made. For example, here is a Tetris game that I made using SDL. I'm going to be using SDL a lot. And I'm going to show you that the way I have it set up is actually very simple. I'm going to double click SDL make.bat and it's going to compile and run this game. And see that? It's already compiled and now it's running here. So look at this. Here we have it. Actually, I'm going to show you something. See, here we have the console. And that displays the command used to compile it and everything. So, but here's the game window itself. And as different things happen in the game, you'll see it because I'm actually pressing keys on the keyboard and the Tetris blocks are falling. So, people have seen my Tetris game before, but this is a game I actually made. And unless you're excited about Tetris like I am, you probably don't care. But still, I made this and I'm proud of it. Now, I am also working on another game, and I will show you that. And I'm going to go more in depth of how these work in future videos. But here is the second game that I made. We have a different script for this, and it's going to compile and run it. Alright, so here's the title screen. Press enter to begin. And that's all there is to that game so far. Now you might be wondering, how in the world does all this work? After all, there's tons of files here. There's several different source files. I have my file SDL notes. I have several DLL files. And all that whole demo you saw, it takes all of these files. It literally takes all of these files just to run. And that's including the music files. Like in this folder, we have the README about the music, and we have 3 songs, all from ocremix.org. That's where I get my music for my games. Okay, and then there's even the font. Check this out. Look at my font files. It literally has all the little characters. See all the text characters? It has 95 printable characters, including the space. And let's see, and then that's one file, and then here is another file. My game actually uses 2 different fonts. But you can see that the image files are the fonts. Every single character is in the image files. So the text and the graphics for my games are simple. Now, this new game that has the music here, This it requires more files than say the Tetris game I showed you earlier. And also check this out. If I double click on main.exe, see how quickly it just boots up. That's why I like SDL. It's fast like that. But programming looks very intimidating. It does look intimidating. And I don't know if people can see this text. I hope people can see this text because I don't really know how to make the text bigger in Windows Explorer. I would kind of like to be able to show. Uh, I wish I could knew how to make the text bigger, but there's a lot of files here because I am screen recording. I want people to be able to see this. But looking at my source files, if someone's a new programmer, they're not going to know what any of this stuff means. So how, and I made the text bigger in Notepad++, and Notepad++ is a special editor I use. It's not quite an IDE, it's a special text editor with syntax highlighting, which means it makes different colors of text based on the programming language being used. So notice how the include statements have one color, the data types have another color, the comments have another color, and most of the text is just plain black. And then the keywords, like for the control flow, like while and if, are in blue there. That's what I like about Notepad++. But see how big this is. See all this stuff? If someone's new to programming, how in the world do they go through all this? And I even have compile commands in the source file here, which is really kind of incredible. And I haven't really used these, but I've been able to compile with more than one compiler on my system. Um, but I want to be able to teach people from the programming from the ground up. So how do we get started? How do we get started when it comes to SDL? Well, I don't have all of my source files that I normally use on Linux because I am booted into Windows. And because I'm booted into Windows, I want to show you how I got started on with compiler. Actually, I used MSys2. There's more than one way to do it. I will show you one way. I'll show you one way. See, I have MSys2. Um, so, for example, here I have a little mini system. Now, for whatever reason, I can't compile things when I use this one or this one. But on this one, it just works. I don't know why. I think my system might be broken or I may not understand how to use it. But this is a little bit of a Linux system here. So, like, let's say, for example, that I want to compile, say, one of my OpenGL examples. Okay, so let's go to cd gl, then ls. And by the way, dir and ls are basically the same. But let's say that if I do cd glfw, then let's go to because see, here's the thing. You have to be comfortable with the command line to be a programmer to a certain extent to really get stuff done. So I'm just showing everything the command line way because it's what I'm good at. In fact, I'm not good at using IDEs personally. So here is, I have, for example, if I type cat makefile, you'll see my makefile. Now, a makefile, this is really important. A makefile is a list of rules that you use to compile something or to make anything. Really, you can use makefiles for more than just computer programming. You could use it for backup scripts, backup your important files, whatever you want to do. Now, watch this. If I type make, what does it do? It fails. And why does it fail? Well, because the first rule in the file is for Linux, because Linux and Windows use different compiling flags, and this is what's hard about C. So don't be intimidated, because I'm going to be showing you the way of how things work. But if we type make win underscore open GL, let's try that. Oh, see, we have a triangle. And I can click the triangle, and I can move it around with the left click. I can right click and then I can change what it does. And I can middle click, I believe. I actually forget how it all works, but different keys do different things. Now, of course, this particular example could be made with SDL, but it's actually made with OpenGL using GLFW as the toolkit. But I also have, okay, so we're going to go to CD SDL and see I have my, I have a cool example here. I have a triangle example here. We're going to do change directory is what CD stands for. Chased triangle. If at first you don't succeed, triangle. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type make here, and let's see what it does. Ah, you see that? Now this one can't be moved around, but this is an SDL example. It's something that can be done with the SDL library, and it's actually quite amazing. But this uses a complicated system called a renderer. And I'm just going to show you a peek at the code. I know that if you're an experienced programmer with SDL, you might understand this, but if you're a new programmer, which is what this target audience is for, of this video series, then you might not understand this. But I'm going to show you a little example just to show you a proof of concept that's possible. See, this is my home folder in my MSys2 installation. So let's go to Chase Triangle. There's only 2 files here. This is actually a much smaller project. Now look at this. Here's the opening file. We include some files. It has set some global variables. But look at all this stuff. It has to initialize the SDL video subsystem. It creates a window. And then it creates a renderer attached to that window. And then we set some initial states of the polygon, in this case a triangle. And then, we set some delay variables to control the timing of it. All this stuff this is intimidating stuff. This took a long time to write. We draw some stuff in the renderer, and this is overwhelming stuff. This is overwhelming stuff for someone who's new, because I can understand what it does, but only because I spent years writing this crap. But look at this. This file right here has a polygon structure, and it keeps track of several attributes of that polygon. So this requires some pretty good knowledge of the C programming language to understand how this works. And then there's several different variables, there's functions, all this stuff. This looks very intimidating. But if somebody learns to understand this kind of stuff, they get to make beautiful things, just like those 2 demo games I showed you in that triangle example. But for the purpose of this tutorial, this particular episode, I want to show you a simple way to get things set up. Now, I'm not going to be able to show you the whole process, but I am going to go over my notes and explain a few things, because my notes explain a lot. So I have this file of notes here. Now, it explains a lot, and there is a place where on my GitHub where these notes exist, actually, in my latest game. So, but here's what's very important. So look at this file name here. See this? This is the exact file that I got, the name of the exact file. So it's from WinLibs here. So in order to get the same compiler that I use when I compile my programs, where I just double click the script and just compiled for me. Well, here's what you do. You have to go to winlibs.com. Oh, wait a minute. There is an error. Oh, look at this. The website is doubled. It won't click because the website is doubled there. There was an error in my notes. That's awkward. That's really embarrassing. Okay, now that I've corrected that, let's double click it again. Now this is the page. This is the page where I downloaded it. See, because there are several different versions of the compiler here. There's well, Okay, so see, there's a lot to read on this page, and this WinLibs build of Ming. By the way, MinGW means minimalist new for Windows. That's what it means. But there's different, lots of different options, and it explains here. There's the traditional, there was MSV Visual C runtime, which is available in all versions of Windows. So if you go back to Windows 95, 98, Windows 7, Windows 2000, then it's going to have, that runtime. But the Windows 10 Universal C runtime is in Windows 10. And so here's what I did. So if you look carefully in my notes at this file here was what I downloaded. And look at its UCRT, and it's version 10.0.0-R4. So it's possible to know by looking at my notes, and I could provide the notes easily to anybody who wants them. But let's look for this. So this file here, now I don't even know what all this means. POSIX, I don't really know. I don't know what the SEH means. But look at this. So there's, now that's, yes, let's see. There's POSIX, yeah, let's see. POSIX dwarf, POSIX SEH. That's bizarre. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I see. So it looks like yeah, let's see. It looks like the the 32-bit is the dwarf, and the Win64 is the SEH. That must mean something. But technically, I believe this is the file right here. Um, because now it was a .zip file. Technically, they have both 7-zip and regular zip, and both can be downloaded. Now, this file, I believe it was this one, but even if I'm slightly off, isn't the point, because I still have the original downloads. I'm going to open a new window in my Windows Explorer. Oh, and by the way, check this out. I could open Windows PowerShell. I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to use PowerShell, but I can open it nonetheless. But it used to have an option. I remember back in the day, like it used to have an option to open a command prompt in Windows Explorer. I wish I still had that because that would make it easier for because I use the old style Windows command prompt. It's been available in all versions of Windows that I remember. But anyway, I'm going to go to my downloads because I have lots of downloads. Here's my libsdl folder. Now, this is my Chase box game because I emailed the files to myself, I believe, and so I have a zip file of my game that I downloaded because I developed it on Linux. Then and then I uploaded it to the internet. Then I downloaded it on Windows, and that's how I got the files transferred between my two operating systems. I have dual boot. Now, this is interesting. Okay, yeah, here it is. See, this right here is the exact file. So it was a .zip file. So I'm going to update my notes here because if you look at this, yeah, let's just compare here. Let's compare. See this file? That is the exact file I downloaded. And the exact file I downloaded here. So look at this. You see this? Let's put the quotes around it and compare. Yeah, see, here we are. There exactly it is. So now that I know exactly that it was the zip file, and I corrected the error in my notes with the WinLibs link, everyone will know exactly what website to go to download the exact compiler I'm using here. So here's the thing. And then notice how it said that I put the Mingwei 64 folder in C, colon backslash. So that's important because this explains how the steps are. And I want to go through a little bit about this. But basically, here's the thing. So this was extracted from the zip file, and then I put the folder here. So this is actually my compiler folder. It has a version info and all that, and it explains everything that's in it. So this is my compiler system. I still have the original zip file. So let's say the website WinLibs is no longer aligned. I still have the file. So I still have the original zip of it. But of course, that probably won't happen. But anyway, another thing I'm going to do is notice how today is the 17th, and I just updated my notes. There was a copy of my notes in this folder, but this one was updated yesterday and it has the error. So I'm going to delete the version of the file that has the error here. So here's the thing. Notice how in my notes, okay, yeah, I'm uploading a video right now. So if you look back at my notes, notice how it explains where that I installed. Now, where you would choose to install your files, let's say, even if you download the exact same version, which you don't have to do the exact same version. You might be on a 32-bit, you might be in an older version of Windows than Windows 10. You can still customize where you install it. You might put it in your user directory. You could put it on your desktop, whatever you want to do. But then that's not enough. You not only need to have a working C compiler, and technically it has a C++ compiler as well. You also have to download SDL. You have to have the development files for MinGW. And notice if we go back to my downloads, we're going to go back to my downloads and I'm going to show you. Notice that I have these other things here. Notice how I have, let's see. Oh, this one. Yeah, this one is, yeah, I had extracted the mixer file as well because I also have SDL mixer. Um, but I'm going to delete the extracted one because I have the original zip. But this file right here, and notice this file right here is the exact same as this one here. Um, yeah, so except with a .zip. So this is the exact file I downloaded, which I have. It's good to keep your downloads unless the newer version becomes available. There's some reason to install that as well. Wait, oh, that's with the path. The path doesn't have the zip, but this one does have the zip. Okay. So now I actually put the SDL path in a different spot, you'll notice. Because see here is the folder MinGW64. But it's actually SDL, which has my SDL notes. And the games folder is where I have my demo games that I showed people in this video earlier. But this folder is where I actually extracted SDL version 2.26.3. And if you look in here, it has all kinds of things. It has the instructions for installing. And let's see, it's to install SDL for native development, make native to install SDL. Yeah, I don't understand all of the different things in, like I don't really understand all the things about installing, but it even has demo programs. But this on Linux, I know how to get this stuff tested and running, but these example programs I don't actually need because the important files is this. I'm using the 64-bit version of the compiler, and these are my SDL files. So if you look in here, I notice we have a folder of inside we have SDL2, and look at all this. We have all sorts of SDL include files. These are all used in some shape, form, or another. So, and here's the thing that's important. There's several different things you have when compiling things, and I hope I'm making sense to people. The include folders are the source files when you have include statements in your code. The bin folder has important files such as the DLL files. And here I have the SDL2.dll and I have the mixer DLL as well because I downloaded and copied that here. But you also have the lib folder, which has these different A files for static linking. I believe those are for. I don't understand all the details, but I have been C programming for 20 years. So I know how to use the stuff, even though I'm not very good at knowing the details of how these tools are organized. So anyway, let's see here. I can close this out. My video is 56% uploaded. Okay, anyway, I'm going to close that out. And then I I think this would be a good place to stop this particular video. Um, but you've gotten a basic idea of, you know, the stuff that can be done because I showed you some stuff about my notes and all that, some very useful information. And in the next video, I'm going to actually show you an example of how to get something compiled and running. This is assuming, of course, that you set up things the same way that I did on my system. But you can use a different way of compiling and still follow along with my next video. This has been a short video, and I hope I made sense. This video is only about getting the tools installed and showing a few demos. But in the next video, I want to show actual small programs. I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to end this video now, and then I'm going to record the next one a little bit later on.